Hypnobirthing is the term, and it's been around for a long time. My personal belief is that this is indigenous birthing. What you say, you get. So if you're going around saying, man, nothing ever works out for me, man, today's not my day, the rest of your day is a write-off. Israel Adesanya, when the UFC went to Australia and he was like, last year I was in the nosebleeds and now I'm making their nosebleed. But he envisioned himself from those nosebleed seats and now he's making their noses bleed. When I can see that things are happening for me, that's when I'll choose to believe. No, you got to believe now. It was the first kind of thing that I would always go to. Oh yeah, I'm a mum of 5 boys and I've got 2 autistic boys and I'll just talk about that. But I also got other sons, and one time my son said, I wish I was special, mum. I was like, oh, you are special. He's like, I'm not special.
Mandate.
Hi everyone, if you are enjoying the content and the guests that are on the podcast and you're wanting more, then please do us a favor. If you can just press the subscribe button, that would be an amazing help for us. But also, just want to mention an amazing organization called AOK, who sponsors the Mandate podcast. And so they are an organization that runs suicide prevention, intervention, and wellbeing programs. And so AOK stands for Acts of Kindness. And so you didn't need me to tell you about the alarmingly high rates of suicide in our nation, especially amongst our rangatahi, our young people, even our tane, our men. And so if you're wanting to stand in the gap and you want to be well trained and well equipped to have these courageous life supporting conversations, then please check them out, aok.nz. If you're a business, a company or a collective, or even as an individual, check them out, www.aok.nz. You could very well be that one person to help save a life. Welcome to Mandate, where we navigate fresh perspectives and nothing is off the table. Tonight's guest is from the Waikato region. She is from Hamilton, an amazing woman who happens to be a mindset mentor / coach, also a personal power facilitator. But also she has a bachelor in social work as well, but also very entrepreneurial. She has her own business called Vibe Nation. But more importantly, she's an amazing mother of 5, amazing wife, but also has an amazing story to share. Please put your hands together for another wahine toa for Audrey Pere.
All that clapping. So many people here.
Audrey, where do we start? Because mindset, I think mindset mentoring, because people think, oh, what's this? What's the mindset mentoring? How did you get into this? Obviously, you got a plethora of other things that you do, very entrepreneurial. And maybe we can talk a little bit about your sons as well. But take us to mindset. How did you get into the mindset? How did you get into this kind of line of work and personal power facilitation?
Yeah, beautiful. The first thing that comes to mind when you ask me how did I get into mindset work, my third son is 9 years old. 9 years ago, after I had my second son, so I've got 5. I have 5 boys. I had my first son, and I was like, "Oh, that was rough." The birth was rough. I was like, "Oh, I know that I want to do this again, but do I want to do this again like this?" And then I had my second son, and I was like, "Oh, that was rough again." And I didn't. I was like, I know that I'm here. I'm going to be having more children, but I just don't want to do it this way. This is hard. This is traumatic. This is crazy. This is intense. And so I had those thoughts in the back of my mind. And I'm a big change person. I love learning. I love growing. I love change. I love doing different things. You can call me crazy, delulu, woo-woo. I am all of those things, right? And so I felt like I needed a change, and I took myself on a journey, and I decided to go plant-based, basically vegan. And that took me to following people. At this time, it was following blogs. I was following a blog of a Palangi lady in America, and she was plant-based, and she was all of the things, right? And I followed her, and I came across a part of her journey where she had her first baby at home in her bed. She was basically lying asleep during her labor, and she just had her baby peacefully at home. And I was like, hold up. In my mind says that nothing's off the table. I was like, if this white girl can do it like that, how come I didn't know about this for my first 2 children? Like, how do I not know about this? How come no one's told me it can be done this way? And it really sparked this thought in me, like, it doesn't have to be how it's always been done. Everything in life doesn't have to be how everybody's doing it or how it's always been done. And so from there, I learned that she did hypnobirthing, right? And I was like, oh, hypnobirthing, okay. And this is 9 years ago. I had a different mindset back then, and I Googled hypnobirthing classes, and I was like, $900. I was like, whoa, that's not me. Okay, so I did what each of us already do, right? I decided I'm going to teach myself how to do this. And I'm going to have my next baby at home, pain-free, anxiety-free, fear-free, at home. Oh, enter all of the resistance from all of the people in my life that just thought, wow, what are you doing? You're supposed to have a baby in the hospital. Right? That's what we see in movies. That's what we see on all the TV shows. That's what we see in magazines. The narrative that has been created for us right now is that you have a crazy ride to the hospital, you're like, it's crazy. You get to the hospital, come on, it's like chaos. You get to the hospital and you have your baby and you're screaming, and it's really intense that way. That's the programming that we've had. And I was like, I don't want it to be that way for me. I know I'm having more babies. I'm going to have it this way. And I just felt this deepness within me of, this is how I can do it. This is what I want. I can already see myself doing it. I can already see myself holding my baby on my couch in my house and having a feed afterwards at home. I was like, that's me. So I YouTubed, I Googled, I created this plan for myself, and I've had 3 babies that way at home. And that taught me the power of mindset and the principles that I created for myself. I didn't create them myself, but I put all of these things together that I had learnt, right, from online and from other people's experiences. I put them together. So it's not my original work. I was able to just like grab and put together something that worked for me. And it just blew my mind that now this formula that I had for having a baby is the formula that I have for life now. This combination, the equation is pain-free, anxiety-free, fear-free living in life. Or from thinking, geez, if this white girl can do it, surely I can do this at home too. So 9 years ago is where the conscious thought of the power of mindset was born within me. And ever since, I've been on a direct pathway to helping other people know the power of their own mindset and also know their personal power. So I'm a personal power facilitator because I facilitate the connection of you to your personal power.
Wow.
So I allow you to discover that. I'm not here to tell you, although I do tell you, but I'm here to help you open up yourself, be conscious of and connect to your personal power.
Wow. So you're saying 9 years ago you watched this woman on YouTube, bilingual woman. Was it kind of like a bit like hypnosis? What you said, a bit of a hypnosis.
So hypnobirthing is the term, and it's been around for a long time. So there's books that are written on hypnobirthing. You can Google hypnobirthing right now, and you'll find everything everywhere all about hypnobirthing. My personal belief is that this is indigenous birthing. This is actually how we had been living for years. All indigenous people, this is how we birthed. And it was through being connected to our mind, body, and our soul and our personal power. Because our body was made, I'm not sure if you all noticed, but there's a certain way your body's made for a baby to come out. So you don't actually have to resist it. You have to relax and allow your body to do what it was meant to do. Now, let me put a disclaimer here, right? This is all personal choice. This is not my recommendation that you have a baby at home and do it this way. This is just exposing information that's available to you if you want to do it different. I'm not saying this is for everybody, but I'm saying think a little different if you don't like the way that it's being done right now. Not just for that, for everything in life.
That's cool. What did you say to those who may be watching, the viewers, and more so our wahine? Like, oh, man, that sounds out of the gate, Audrey. Sounds out of the gate. How do you put their mind at ease and say, maybe there is something to this. Maybe this, in terms of the mentalness or the mindset. How do you get our wahine and even our men like to kind of like, oh, maybe I should really consider this.
Yeah, and that's interesting too. I'll say my husband was against it because he was scared. Right? We all feel scared. I'm sure if you've been with your wives and they've had children, you felt that protection, that desire to keep them safe. And, what we know is that a hospital is the safest place to have your baby. For me, I personally wanted to have my baby in our home. And the key word in there is want. So to put anybody's mind at ease, all you need to ask yourself is, what do you want? Do you want to do it this way or do you want to do it a different way? So it's everything in life comes right back to desire, to what you want.
Wow. And so you've been doing this for the last, how many years now, Audrey?
If I'm being honest with you, I've been doing this like unconsciously all my life, but consciously now for the last 9 years. So it sounds a bit weird, conscious, unconscious, but I recognize that in my lifetime, I have always had this way of being, this way of behaving, this way of believing. But I became connected and aware of it more so 9 years ago after the birth of my third son.
Yeah, so interesting. And it's interesting in terms of, because people think of mindset and mind mentoring, all that kind of stuff, and people kind of read a lot of books and so forth, or they have to go to university to do this kind of study and all that kind of stuff. But for you personally, what obviously the journey, the beginning and the start, and so in terms of what do you have to do? What, like, in terms of just kind of instilling this whole process of the mentoring and so forth and facilitation. So describe for us the journey and what you have to do in order to be this person that's like I'm the mentor or becoming a mentor.
I think what do we know mentors to be? A mentor is someone that's done it or doing it, right? So we seek out mentors, business mentors, financial mentors, because they have the information, they know what they're doing it or they've done it. And so for me, a mentor is someone who is doing it or done it and is that. So for me, this is who I am. This is how I live. This is how I communicate. This is how I operate, and this is how I interact, not just in a place of business or a workshop or networking or whatever. This is how I interact with people all the time. This is how I interact with my husband. This is how I interact with my children. This is how I interact with my family, to a point, because, our family's like, who do you think you are? Or, everything's a joke, and that's all good because that's how it is. But this is who I am, and this is who I believe God wants me to be, to help other people be happy, because a mindset can really affect your happiness. And we really are here to be happy, but there's so many unhappy people existing today.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that sort of links in with something you said earlier about connecting people to their personal power. And I'm just curious about what personal power is and why is there such a disconnect for people, in terms of connecting them to their personal power. I feel like I kind of get the idea, because I think for a lot of us, there's that dormant, like, you have this idea in your head of what you could be or what you can be on your best day, but not every day is your best day. So how do you define personal power, and then why is there a disconnect between people and their personal power?
Spicy. What is personal power? You are personal power. I am personal power. Like just the fact that we're sitting here and every detail of our body is intricate and amazing. Like our body heals itself. So that's power in itself. But personal power is the ability to have a vision for yourself and to follow it and allow yourself to do it. But the disconnect is found in the world that we live in. So, going to school, you go to high school. Hypothetically, we're in high school, right? And got your group of mates and you're all excited about something that you want to do or be. And you're like, oh, man, yeah, I'm going to be a DJ. Because I love music. I love mixtapes. I'm going to be a DJ. All your mates go, what do you want to be a DJ for? You don't even know how to, who do you think you are? You're not a DJ. Nah. All the different little comments that, even maybe our parents, why do you want to be a DJ? You can't make money being a DJ. You're not going to be able to support a family being a DJ. It could be DJ, it could be anything else. Artist, insert here, anything, right? The disconnect is in all the noise that we hear around us. The disconnect is in colonization. The disconnect is in all of the resistance that comes from every part of life. And the disconnect is in believing it. Believing and taking it on and then never doing what you want to do. Ever. That's sad, eh? Like you could feel the energy drop there, like never, ever doing what you want to do because someone, somewhere, a teacher told you you're not going to be doing nothing when you're old. Look at how you're behaving in school right now. You're not worth anything. And that has stuck with you and you live by that. Of the 8 billion people in this world, you lived by that one person's comments to you.
Jeez. Yeah, you're right. In terms of some of the things that have been said or spoken over, specific people speaking over some of the negative things that have been said, or even trolling and some negative opinions. In terms of the mindset and the work that you do in terms of mentoring, are they specifically individuals who just feel like stuck or in a rut that you work alongside with and kind of help them in terms of building that? I don't know, whether it be self-esteem or confidence.
Yeah.
Is it along the right lines?
Yeah, that's it.
Audrey, yeah.
Yeah. So I work with lots of different people in different industries and different areas of life. So I help mums prepare their minds for birth. I've been working with women in business and leadership because the reality is all of us feel stuck. Even people that look like they got it all together are stuck or experience feeling stuck. And the only way to get unstuck is to move. But the only way to get your body to move is for your mind to move. And your mind will tell your body what to do. And so it doesn't matter what profession you're in or who you are. All of the greatest thought leaders in every generation have known and have taught and have written about the power of your mind. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, we took it because every time I think of someone who's the kind of mindset or mental, I always think of the Mentalist. Remember the?
Oh yeah.
Remember that program, The Mentalist?
Simon Baker? No.
I think I got.
Simon Baker,
Simon
the
Baker, Australian guy, yeah. So I always think of the Mentalist, and you kind of spoke on like people who on the outskirts seem like they have everything all together, but can you tell when people like, or can you kind of gauge the different personalities and kind of the little things that they kind of would do, and you kind of like, oh yeah, I know this person, I can kind of picture, I can understand as his or their personality. Is it similar to some of those things in terms of the Mentalist that you kind of do, and you can just kind of off the bat like, oh yeah, I know what this person kind of needs. I know this person's personality, and then maybe this needs to be kind of changed or fixed in some way. Is it something like similar to that?
I think it's parts of that, definitely parts of that. So there are 3 values that I work from and teach whoever I'm working with, right? Whether that's a one-on-one or that's a workshop or I'm speaking somewhere. And awareness is one of them. So if I'm connecting with what you're referring to about the mentalist, awareness, he had an awareness of himself in the space and the people that he was maybe around, right? And what is awareness? Do you guys, what's your guys' version of awareness or your thoughts on awareness?
Jay, you know.
Immediately then what comes to mind is
Awareness is funny.
yeah. Immediately I thought of like I thought of self-awareness, like almost like an understanding or a transparent understanding of like intent and motivation and yourself.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's it.
Yeah, well, for me, I was just kind of thinking that you're quite alert around your surroundings. You're quite alert. You kind of you're in terms of self-awareness, in terms of you know what's happening, exactly what's happening. You're not blind to some of the things that may be happening outside, but you kind of know, and you're kind of real grounded in terms of who you are as a person.
Yeah. I love that. I've just had a thought. So me and my husband have different capacities of awareness. So my husband, you know, we park up and we get up the car, automatically he's aware. Okay, is there a guy down there? What's he doing? What's going on up here? Okay, making sure, you know, like he's aware of our surroundings for me and our children as we're going out into the world. Me, I'm like, what? Okay, you know, like the bag's hanging out, you know, the wallet's there. Oh, it's all right. My husband's very street smart, right? Different to me. I'm just like, yeah, let's move. He's very looking around, ready to go. At home, I'm very aware of my children if they need a nappy change. My husband, his awareness, the needle's a little bit different, right? And that's okay. It's just different. But the awareness is that ability to perceive and to connect with and to understand why we're behaving in a certain way or why this person is behaving in a certain way. So awareness is a big part of, just referring back to the mentalist and what we do, awareness is huge, and self-awareness is everything. Because ultimately, our happiness comes directly back to us, right? But we try to find it everywhere else. And we live in an amazing world full of buzzing, ding, notification, new episode, new this, new that. Everything's going, moving. And we are trying to find ourselves in this busyness. But awareness and self-awareness is being able to be like, okay, even though this craziness around me is not stopping, I need to stop. I need to take a moment here. I need to breathe. And I need to just like, oh man, why did I just yell at my kid like that? I'm super exhausted. I'm really tired. Oh, mentally, I'm really struggling right now. And in my mind, I'm feeling a bit depressed. And I'm anxious. How are we going to pay the bills this week? This payment didn't come through. The car needs this. It's buying nappies like they're going out of fashion. And all he asked me for was to help him get something from the cupboard. And I snapped at him. Awareness is all of those thoughts. I didn't mean to yell at you like that. I'm sorry, son. I'm sorry for yelling. Daddy has got a lot going on in his mind. And I shouldn't have yelled at you like that. Here, let's go. Do you know, sorry, son, do you know what that means? Dad's just having a bit of a hard time. Do you ever have a hard time? Oh, cool. Thank you for sharing that with me. Let's go get what you needed to get now. To me, that's a beautiful expression and understanding of awareness. is understanding why we're doing what we're doing, why we're choosing to do what we do, or why we're choosing to not do what we want to be doing.
Man, I love that. That's such a cool way of framing awareness and providing like a practical explanation of like how it can impact our families.
Yeah.
And saying that you mentioned before your husband, and it's really interesting seeing the contrast. And as you're telling the story, I was like, oh, I'm a little bit like that. But in this scenario, I'm a little bit like that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that. How important is it to have someone like a husband or a partner where you can sort of go on this journey together? And although you can be unique and different in different ways, but still have this sort of vision where you're heading in the same direction?
Oh my gosh, it's everything. It is everything. To truly have everything that I want, I need help. And I need my man. And my man needs me. And we are so very different, but our desire for our family and for ourselves as a couple, but also for ourselves individually, is so deeply connected. Has it always been that way? No. We have been on a journey to do that. But we've heard it a lot. Choosing who you're going to spend the rest of your life with is a very important decision. And having someone that's supportive, might not like all the same things you like, but is like there for you when you want to be doing something, when you want to change. And, we're not the same people we were 2 years ago. We're not the same people we were when we got married. You're not the same that you were when you first met your partner. You're not the same that you were last year. But being with someone that is open to learning and growing is really important. It's really important.
It's cool. It's awesome. And I totally agree. And just because it is quite interesting. I love when you talk about the brain and the mind and so forth. I think it's quite interesting, Audrey, and quite intriguing. Just wondering in terms of being in this space now, and you've been kind of learning, and you're actually helping people with the mind and mentoring and personal power facilitation. What is it in your personal and from your own words? What certain aspects of your mind and things of whether it be trauma or hardship or struggles that you've had to reframe or reprogram? What are some of the things that you had to, like, man, you know what, I need to change this in order for me to live this life or live a life that I want to live? I need to change specific or certain things. What have been some of the things that you've had to, like, man, I got to change this?
Yeah. 20 years ago this year, my dad passed away in front of me. I was 18. We had, we talked earlier about your mum moving back, and she felt to move back. So we were living in Australia, and we had been living there for 6 years. And my parents both felt impressed to come home because both their mothers were here, and, they were in their 50s back then, or 60s, early 60s. And they just felt strongly that we needed to come home and be around them and take care of them. And that was their thought. They just had this very strong desire to come home. And we moved home, and 4 months later my dad died. He just had a massive cardiac arrest in front of us. And, okay, running joke, my dad was a big guy. And when we first moved back to New Zealand, Tawhinga and Ete's very first thing came out. I can't even remember what the name of it was, but there's this part of it where he's like playing the piano and then he pretends to like die or something. Do you remember that?
I think the very first
he's playing the piano and then he like thing. And so when we moved back, my dad did that to us, like played the piano and then like just dropped. And so that was a joke. 4 months later, after that, he like collapsed in front of us, and at first we were like, "Oh, are you doing your joke again?" See how we can like laugh about things that are kind of sad at the same time. Like he wasn't joking here. Like he passed away right in front of us. So, in that moment, I literally felt like I had no life ahead of me in that moment, right? I was like, because my dad was my best friend. He was me and him were very, very connected, and I had shared with him all of my dreams. You know, here I am, 18 years old. I've got the world ahead of me. I shared with him all of my dreams, and he wanted me to live them. And then when he died right in front of me, for a brief moment there, I was like, I can't do any of these things because he's not here. And that was devastating. But being a religious person and coming from a very strong religious home, my mum continued to push me to live my dreams. And so I've been able to accomplish everything that I wanted and shared with him in these 20 years that he's been gone. But it took a lot of training mentally to continue to do things that were hard and to continue to push through when people didn't like me or people thought I was weird or whatever. You know, I think that's what stops a lot of us from doing things is we get scared of what other people think about us or what other people say about us. And that stops us from really moving and really discovering who we are, who we want to be, what do we want to be doing. I'm just big on it's never too late and you're never too old for anything.
How did you do that? Because some people will think, that sounds great, Audrey, but how do you do that? And for you personally, how did you do that? How did you bust through those barriers? Like, man, this is just too hard. Mentally, it's just too hard. How do I bust through this? Are there any practical tips in terms of people can just, if they're stuck in a specific area or a certain area, like how do you break through?
You need to put yourself in places and with people that make you feel good. You need to surround yourself with people who are loving and kind. You need to surround yourself with people who are big dreamers, or not even big dreamers, but open-minded, right? Who aren't going to be like, oh, why you want to go do that for? You say you want to go do something and maybe your best friend says, oh, why you want to do that for? No one around here does that. Nah, you can't do that. As opposed to, oh, wow, I've never heard of that before. That's cool. You could be the first one to do that from here. Man, I don't know what that's going to look like, but whew, I'm right here with you. You know? Yeah. You got to be around the right people.
You have to have a real good support system, people got your back. Yeah, it's cool.
But sometimes we don't have that.
Well, I'm thinking, yeah.
Sometimes we don't have that. So I feel very fortunate that I had that support. Even with all the support, you can still feel alone. Even with people physically around you, you can still feel alone in your journey. And so it really, you have to cultivate and develop within yourself mental strength and resilience. And that is only done by being aware, right? Being around people, places and things that are uplifting. And it is, at the end of the day, it is the battle within your mind. And so you've got to consume good stuff. You've got to consume good stuff. With the digital age that we live in, we have access to everything. But it is a choice that we can make of what we expose ourselves to. So if we're constantly consuming a certain type of media, whether that's pornography, whether that's murder mysteries or things that it's about being aware. Hey, is this going to help me? Is this making me feel lighter or heavier? That's something that I teach my children, especially around choosing what's right and what's wrong. Son, does this make you feel heavy or does this make you feel light? Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, so then what are you going to do so that you feel light? I'm going to choose to watch something or see something or listen to something that is uplifting, informative, educational, or fun, funny. Laughter is medicine too.
Absolutely.
Laughter is medicine.
Absolutely.
It just made me think of, there was a quote I think I read somewhere on one of your posts, and it was like, we don't do enough of what we know. And you just made me think about like, earlier off camera we'll talk about manifesting, and you had mentioned earlier in the conversation about narrative and programming. So there's this interesting dynamic between manifesting change and combating the narrative and the programming that we're used to. And already just in the conversation, I'm like having these light bulb moments of like, oh yeah, man, I used to do this and now I don't. And I used to really enjoy doing that thing, and I just wasn't aware that change was happening. And sometimes it's really easy to lose track. So I'm curious about your thoughts on manifesting, because it's one thing to wish something, but you've talked a little bit about cultivating and developing mental strength from within. There's the people and our surroundings as well. And then even then there are still barriers. So being able to tie those things together so that the outcome is actually meaningful, life-changing, progress. Can you speak a little bit about that?
I love that question, by the way. It's juicy. And it's important. So the name of my business is Vibe Nation. I had a beautiful friend help me to kind of put my ideas together and put that name. I follow a guy called Bob Proctor. He's this old white guy. I love him. I cried when I found out that he died a couple of years ago, or a year ago. You've seen The Secret? Or you've heard of The Secret? The Law of Attraction, all of that cool stuff, right? He was in that movie, but he's been around for a long time. And one of the first things I learned from him is that he said, everybody thinks that the law of attraction is the primary law or the first law of how we kind of manifest and get everything. He said, the law of vibration is the primary law, right? So let's get into the law of vibration. We're vibes, right? Everything right now is vibes. Here's the vibes, high vibes. It's a thing. It's not just a thing. It's a real thing. It's a scientific thing. Vibration, right? Everything that we've kind of agreed on as we've been sharing during this time, we've connected on, right? And you feel that energy, you feel that vibe, that frequency. We're operating on the same frequency, right? And so when you are operating, or when you're feeling the same, this high vibe, you're feeling good. You feel excited. You feel hopeful, right? Or you are imagining that you've got what you want already. That's how you manifest and attract everything to you. It's by being, not just by thinking or saying. It's actually by feeling and being the type of person that you're trying to be. So there's so much debate around this statement, and it is what it is, but fake it till you make it is one of my favorite statements, because fake it till you make it, the way I interpret it for myself personally, it's like, feel confident before you're feeling confident, right? Put on your big girl undies so that you feel good before you're actually feeling good. Like, step into that before you're actually there. Does that, how does that sit? Is that connecting?
Yeah.
Am I explaining it correctly? Yeah. So manifesting is already feeling like it's already done. And what does that do? If you knew that all of your bills were taken care of for the rest of the year, how are you going to walk around here?
Man, I'll be ecstatic. I'll be like, man.
You got a little pep in your step now. You're like, your shoulders are a bit more relaxed. You're like a bit more happier, right? You're not stressing. But you can't see that money in your bank account right now. So how are you walking around now, looking at your bank account with your bills not paid for the rest of the year? Tight, tense, worried, stressed. How then do we interact with those that we love the most? We don't give them good. We don't give them great. We give them what's left. And so fake it till you make it is like, let me sit up a little taller. Let me imagine that, let me just indulge me for a little bit, right? And talking to yourself, indulge me for a little bit. Let me just feel like my bills are paid for the rest of the year. It's like Jim Carrey wrote a $5 million check for himself and put it in his wallet. He got $5 million for Dumb and Dumber. But he wrote that check before he even auditioned for that role. He desired it. He acted as if he already had it. And then, boom, that's when the magic and the manifesting happens. It's when you desire it, but not so much that you're like feeling like you don't have it. It's a conundrum. It's like desire and detach and move forward with that.
Jeez, how do you do that, Audrey? Because I know a lot of people.
It's a practice.
It's a practice.
It is a practice. Like, I have practiced being this way. I continually consume content from people that live this way. I continually desire to be in conversations with people who are doing this, because that's what makes me feel not so much alone, because I'm a bit delulu like that, you know, like I believe I can have everything I want, and I have received everything I've ever wanted, and I'm only 39. And there's so much more life that I have to live and enjoy. And I want to be vibing my whole life.
Power to you, man, sis. But it's something that I hear often about manifestation. Manifest it into your life, and I hear it in the churches. Obviously, people might say, if it's not manifestation, maybe it's just faith. Believe in it. Just
it's all of that,
and just believe in it. And so it is. And I like it when you said it's practice. You got to practice it. You can't just say, oh, just manifestation, and just hope for the best. And I think a lot of people get kind of get stuck on the, okay, well, let's just manifest it, and there's an element of, oh, let's just hope. Maybe it might happen, or maybe not. And so, like you're describing it, for me, it sounds like just 100% faith. You just got to believe it without a shadow of a doubt. Is that what you kind of veering to? Is it just believe it, fully believe that's going to happen?
If you were to go and look at or hear stories of people right now who are really successful, and they're doing things that they've all manifested their success. Trying to think of an example. You know, when you got the light on you and all the pressure's on you, you know all of these things before you get here, and then you get here and it's like, oh, bit of a brain block. But
I know one example. Conor McGregor is a famous example. Yeah. There's a video of him even before he entered the UFC where he was like, I'm going to join this organization. I will be champion of the world. I'll be double champ, which is something that people thought was impossible. And he stuck to it, became the highest paid UFC fighter ever, changed the game, and accomplished his goals, and apologized to no one for it because he believed it with everything he had. Yeah. That's an example.
Now you got me on a roll now. Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, Izzy, yeah.
But man.
I can't remember where I heard it, but he's like, you know, when the UFC went to Australia, and he's like, last year I was in the nosebleeds and now I'm making their nosebleed. Because he was unapologetic in his mind, did not waver. It was hard? Was it hard? For sure. Does he have to keep hyping himself up? I'm sure he had to do that to get to where he was. But he envisioned himself from those nosebleed seats, and now he's making their noses bleed. You speak, what you say, you get. So if you're going around saying, man, nothing ever works out for me, man, today's not my day, the rest of your day is a write-off. Because you're just going to say, see, stubbed my toe. Spilled this drink. Accidentally transferred $100 instead of 10. Like it's like boom, 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 boom. And it compounds. Did you know it can work the opposite way? Did you know it can work the complete opposite way? And this is your day. This is your day. Every day it can be like this if you choose to see it that way and if you want it to be that way. Yeah.
Like compound interest.
Compound
interest.
Compound
We're
interest.
talking about, you, obviously, because you're a business entrepreneur as well. So, and the thing is, Audrey, because it is very interesting what you're talking about, because a lot of people might think, it's easier said than done, but sometimes because of the hardships, because of their own trauma, because of things that have happened in the past, it's just hard for me to kind of get to this place. But how do you combat that kind of individual who's like, I want to manifest this, I want to believe in this, but just I can't. Everything that's in my life right now, the stars are not aligning. It's just hard. How do you get to those individuals like, I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. Yeah. What do you say to those individuals?
It brings me back to a question you asked me just before around. It was about, what was it? What question did you just ask me?
Personal power, or was it manifesting in narrative and programming?
Yeah, around, so we have been exposed to so much negativity that it's just become a way of life. That's just how it is. That's just how it goes. So there's a lot of deep beliefs that we need to go to and kind of like take these onion layers off around not being able to do what we want to do or not being able to accomplish something. And it really, truly comes down to what we want and the results that we currently have. Do we want to be, like, is this how we want to feel every day? And, sorry, that's what you asked me. Bob Proctor said, we don't do enough of what we already know. Let's sit with that for a little bit. We don't do enough of what we already know. So let's talk about health. There is like a million different diets, different workouts, different everything that is being marketed to us all day, every day. And it can be hard and it can be confusing because we're like, well, that one says it works and that one says it works. What do I do? What do we already know about maybe wanting to get a bit healthier? Should we move a little bit more every day? Should we maybe let's think about what our tupuna ate on the island. Maybe like let's consider, like, I'm not telling anybody what to do, but I'm saying consider what you already know. Maybe you just start with walking. We know that you'll feel better if you just move your body. So like we know, but are we doing? It's like having that one mate in your group of friends, right? That knows everything, right? And he'll give you the answer to everything. And what is he doing? None of it.
Proud who's.
We've all got one of those friends, right? It's like when you're watching the Warriors and telling them how to play from the couch.
He's the coach. He's the coach. He's the coach.
Right?
The trainer.
We're the trainer. We're the physio. We're the you know, we know it. Right?
You're speaking some real facts there, Audrey. That's hard on.
Right? Like so it's like, what do you already know that you're not doing? Let's start there.
It's good.
You know you'll feel better if you actually just have a shower and put on some clothes and do something that you know you need to do today. And you can tick that off and you can feel accomplished by just doing that one thing. Then what does that do? That starts the ball rolling. That gets you into a bit of momentum. You're like, oh, I just accomplished something. That's why they say, like, start with making your bed. And that's like the first accomplishment for the day. You're like, oof, productive. I made my bed. Then it's like, well, what's the next thing? Oh, let me quickly do these dishes. Even though normally it'd be like, I'll do them after. But it's like that's another like kind of like getting you in. That's movement. You're moving.
But do you find it interesting, Audrey? Because it's the little things, eh?
It really is the little things.
Little things that
we think it's these
important.
big things. So we're always asking, what can I do? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? You know, and we know in some of our religions, it's back to the basics.
Small and simple things.
By small and simple things.
Great things brought to pass.
Great things, yeah. Line upon line, precept upon precept.
Yeah.
Just start with saying your prayers. If you haven't said your prayers in a while, start with that. Doesn't have to be kneeling down. It can just be like having a moment where you're quiet and you're talking in your mind or you're expressing gratitude. Let's get on to that actually. So gratitude is the fastest way to raise your vibration. Expressing gratitude. And sometimes it's like, oh man, what can I be grateful for? The fact that you're still breathing, you can be grateful for that. The fact that you've still got air circulating in your body and that you are alive, that is something to be grateful for. That is something not to be taken for granted. And we take that for granted every day.
It's cool. I like that, Audrey, because, and you would know this, Audrey, because obviously it's easy for us as people, as individuals to stay in the negative, but it's often hard for us to kind of get into the positive or shift into the positive. Why is that? Do you have an answer to that? Why is it so hard for us to kind of get into the positive or stay in the positive versus always dwelling in the negative?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if I know why. I just know that it's so common, it feels normal. It feels normal to kind of like be sitting all around together and, oh yeah, right, this government, man, oh my gosh. And then boom, 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 boom. We just go all in. Nothing wrong with that. But what could be better about that? We're sitting here all together. We might be, this government. Or we could be, hey, did you hear that announcement? What can we do? How are we going to help? How can we bring what I do, what you do, what they do? How can we bring that all together for our community or for this community? You know, it's about asking different questions to get different results instead of staying in the negative. It's real easy. And that's why when I created my little program for myself for birthing, and this was in a book that I read anyway, but it's just become so important. When you're preparing for birth, when you say that, when you just express, oh yeah, I'm pregnant, boom, you get everybody's birth story. You get oh girl, man, my birth was so crazy. It was you get all of the horror stories. Can you imagine a brand new pregnant woman getting her mind filled with all of the worst experiences of something she's never experienced yet, but all she's fed is all of these real traumatic, horrifying, scary stories, which are all true, right? Which is that person's experience. That's fine. But how is that helping her mind to prepare herself and to prepare her body to do what it was supposed to do? It's not. And so the first thing I teach women, do not listen to anybody's traumatic birth stories. Do not allow it. Lovingly and respectfully say, oh, thank you for thinking of me, but I'm actually doing this thing where I'm only listening to like good stuff that's going to help me. So thank you for wanting to share that with me, but sis, like this is what I'm doing right now. So it's like, do not expose yourself to that because that plays with your mind. it tenses your body up, and it's just not helpful. And so what we expose ourselves to, what we allow to stay with us, is super important. And that's where movement comes in too. It's like we move that energy out. It doesn't mean we like live in like this enclosed space and we don't. It's about choosing in our mind how we're going to work with and move with and navigate through all of these crazy things that are going on around us. We get to choose how it's going to sit with us, how long it's going to sit with us. Is it important? Is it necessary? We get to choose. We are the filter. Our mind is the filter, and it's our choice. You can close your eyes, you can close your ears, or you can just like release it and let it go. You don't have to carry it.
Yeah, some good advice. That's really good. You talked earlier on frequency and vibes. Tell us, because I'm hearing that more often or more frequently now. In terms of the frequencies and all that, in terms of the energy. Tell us a little bit more about understanding that, or give us a bit of an example in terms of how we can kind of pinpoint and understand what does that actually mean.
It's a feeling. It's a feeling, right? And the first thing that comes to my mind when you ask me that question is music. Maybe it's Saturday morning, you're on dishes. I love loud music. I love good 90s R&B. Turn that up. I'm vibing. I am singing my heart out. I am dancing while I'm doing the dishes. I'm like, or I'm not even doing any of that. I'm just like, ooh, feel good. I love this. Because something about the music, I don't know, maybe it's nostalgic, whatever is making you feel good, that's a vibe, right? Or even as frequency, the radio back in the day, right? We're trying to find that FM station, and all we're getting is AM, but we want to get on that FM and we want to get on that radio station that we're vibing with. Or it's as simple as you pick up your cell phone and you're calling your mum over in a different country and you're talking to her. You're on the same frequency. The vibe and the frequency is how you are feeling connected to yourself or to something or to someone. So can you, what's it like when you're on a down vibe?
Oh, you're asking the question?
Yeah.
Oh, just it's terrible. You just feel low, real low, lack of motivation.
Yeah.
Real low, quite highly distressed. And so, yeah. And so,
have you ever experienced our brother when he's on a low vibe?
Experienced Pete when he's on a low vibe?
And not something not drastic, but, like not feeling, like, oh, maybe the weight of everything that you've got going on is feeling a bit heavy. And so you're not your normal, chirpy, engaging self. Might be quite just quick to give an answer and then move on, like that's a vibe too, and we've talked about depression and mental well-being and the law of vibration comes into that because how we're feeling is what we attract. And so it's changing the feeling to get the different result, to attract different into our life.
Yeah, it is. In terms of the frequency and vibing, is often you may enter into a space or you might go somewhere and you kind of feel the energy. Like
you feel it?
Yeah, you feel the energy. Like you said early on, we had a bit of outside. Just the vibe. The vibe is not good, or the energy is not in certain spaces, and then you can just feel it. You can just feel the energy. Yeah, and so in terms of the mindset and mentoring. Is that all part of the work in terms of unpacking a lot of the stuff and understanding the energy around it, the law of attraction? Because people might think, what's the law of attraction? And so what is? Can you kind of give us a bit of a what does that entail? Law of attraction, because people might think, oh, just attract each other. We're just attracted towards each other. But what is? I know there's a deeper meaning. So tell us, Audrey.
I'm still learning about it. So I'll give you the way I see it and live it. The law of attraction is understanding that you can have what you want, but you need to put yourself in a position mentally and spiritually to be able to receive it. So it really is about healing yourself, teaching yourself, evolving, growing, developing, to have awareness around what you truly want and who you want to be. And so I mentioned earlier the three things the three values that I teach people, and that's awareness, it's identity, who you want to be, who are you now, who do you want to be in the future, and desire. What do you want? What do you truly want? So the law of attraction is really encompassing all of these different things that come back to the root, which is, what do you want? What do you want? And I ask this question a lot to everybody, and majority of us either too whakamā to say, we don't know, or we're too shy to say. So we don't want to be like,
kind of laughed at. Oh, yeah, you sure? Yeah, can you do that?
Like, you know, there's people in this world that are doing really unique, different things because it's what they love. And not only are they doing it and it's their passion, they're monetizing it. They're able to have financial abundance doing what they love or what they're interested in. We don't just have to do whatever to pay the bills. We can do that, and we can do other things that we love that can also be monetized as well. It's what you choose to believe. If you just believe that I'm just here to work hard for 40 years, pay off my mortgage, and just do what it takes to get the bills paid, I'd like to ask you to consider, is that making you happy? And what else do you like to do? Let's explore that, and let's see how we can monetize that so that you can do what you love and get paid for it.
That's cool. In terms of, I like the three things you mentioned: the awareness, identity, and desire. I think a lot of us get hung up on and like you said, some people are like, what's your goal? What's your dream? What do you want to do? What do you aspire to do in life? And a lot of people, I don't know, some of us maybe a bit like you said, a bit whakamā to kind of, I want to say this. And some people have some outlandish and just real out the gate goals that can really come to life. If you're saying in terms of the mind is in the right frame of mind to actually do that, and manifestation and the law of attraction, all that you're talking about. And I really believe that. I really believe my whole heart in terms of, if you got a vision or got a goal and you can just really believe in it and do it. I think the hardest thing to do, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Audrey, is just starting.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest thing for any.
Well, because we think we have to have it all figured out. You know, we don't have a business plan. Oh, I don't know how to write a business plan. So, whoops, I don't know what to do. So I'm just not going to do anything. When you start, you get in momentum. You're moving. You're feeling good because you're moving. And because you're feeling good, right? And then you're exposing yourself to really great things, really great people, really great content. You're watching awesome podcasts. You're getting really great information. And then, so you're still on this vibe, right? And then that's when people, places, things, resources, services, organizations, businesses come to you, right? Or you might just choose to, I'm listening to this podcast and I'm still feeling a bit like, I really want to believe that good things are happening for me, but I don't know. So I'm listening to this podcast that's about mindset, and I'm going to keep going. And okay, let me go for a walk now. Go for a walk around your block. You notice something that has always been there, but you've never noticed it before. And it's like it's an accountant's office, and it's a Samoan guy that's the accountant there, and he specializes in whatever, business plans. And you're like, let me just be brave and knock on his door and just have a chat. Like, that's a made up scenario, but it's a made up scenario that could happen to you, right? It's been vulnerable and open to following what's going on inside of you. That's why I'm big on your personal power is your deep connection to yourself. You know why I love personal power too? Because it's sustainable. Sustainability is a big deal. And what I mean by sustainable is that when you are deeply connected to your personal power, the decisions that you make, the pathway that you choose, because it's rooted in your personal power, which is in your truth, it comes from a really pure place. Like, your success is on you. It's on your personal power, but also your learnings, not your failures. Your learnings are on you too. So even though this particular business didn't work out, you still feel amazing about it because you learnt so much that you're now going to take into your next business. And that's because you followed your intuition. You deepened your awareness around yourself. You kept evolving and growing and refining the person that you want to be, your identity. And then you continued to really discover and uncover what you really want. Because what we want changes. It's not always the same. But we got to be with the play on it. You know, we got to be aware and, actually, no, I don't really want to do that anymore. I want to do this. Or I want to tweak this a little bit. So then the sustainability is always going to come from you. It doesn't mean that everything comes from you. There's a lot of like conundrums in this way of thinking. Everything comes from you, but it takes a village too. Like we get support. You know, we've got a beautiful wife here supporting and assisting and doing all the things. Like, it comes from you, but it also comes from other places as well. But to be sustainable, you've got to connect to your personal power.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. That sort of helps answer some thinking, because Pete had mentioned in a comment about, you know, sometimes people wait for the stars to align. And it just made me think about, you know, there's many of us, myself included, where sometimes, you know, we wait for the stars to align and we wait to be told what to do. And I think part of it is because there's safety in waiting, because it's like you're putting the ball in the other court and saying, well, if I don't get told what to do, it's not my fault. It's like sort of the accountability.
Accountability.
Absolutely. And so you sort of you're helping me understand the importance of momentum. Yeah. And that momentum comes, it always starts small. You never just hit the ground running straight away. Like, you have to build that momentum for yourself. And as you were talking about some of the women that you speak to, and, you know, it was really cool. Just, you know, not choosing not to allow horror stories about childbirth. And it made me think about the role of like validation and gatekeeping. And I think sometimes, especially for people who have lived their life a certain way for so long, sometimes it can be, I don't know if it's hurt pride, or maybe we can shed some light on this, but there's just something about, like, if you've worked so hard to get so far and then you see other people doing it way easier, there's a small part of people that are like, that's not fair. Like, they should have to go through the hardship that I went through, and I spent this much time, and they should have to spend this much time. And I don't know if it's a human nature thing, if it's a generational thing, if it's a male versus female thing. Like, I don't know where that thinking comes from, but I imagine a lot of the barriers, or some of the barriers that hold us back, is that idea of validation, either getting validation from others or being in a position where we feel like we're gatekeeping a certain level of success. So I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on validation and gatekeeping, and how that can hamper our own momentum and our own vibrations.
Yeah, let me, because there's a lot in that.
There,
and so, no, it's cool. I just want to make sure that I'm connected and can address it. So the first thing you're talking about, what comes to mind is, you know, talking about not listening to horror birth stories. How many of our people have heard, first year of business is always the worst, and most small businesses don't survive their first 2 years? Woo! Is that motivating for someone that's super passionate about something that they have an idea about, that they love, and that they're going to now try and make a business out of it? But everything that gets told is, small businesses don't, that's just how it is, bro. Like, first 2 years, always a hard slog. To expect to not bring in any money. expect not to be able to do this, expect to never see your family, sacrifice your whole life, and all those taxes and everything is boom. Oh, okay, yeah, I feel real confident now coming into this space. Why do we keep recycling that? Is it facts? Maybe. Does it have to be your facts? No. And when we wait for the stars to align, did you know you can create the stars yourself? Did you know you can create your life? Did you know you can create your own reality? Did you know you don't have to live in what everybody's saying around you? You can be called crazy too. And it's okay. So what I'm so passionate about is don't believe everything everybody tells you. If it doesn't feel good, it's not right. Like how are you supposed to feel good when everyone's telling you, everyone fails in their first 2 years? Like, yeah, it's good. You're going to fail too. It's okay. Maybe, but do we see it as failure? Did Israel Adesanya stop at his first, second, third fight? No, he's passionate about what he does. And he didn't let any of the booing, you can't tell him nothing. Don't let anybody tell you nothing, respectfully, right? Because we have family and friends that are very well-intentioned. I believe most people are well-intentioned. Most people are wanting to protect you or to shed some light or give some insight, and that's great. Do you have to accept that? No. Don't let nobody tell you nothing. With humility, of course.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
So it really comes down to what do you want? Everything comes back to what do you want?
What do you want?
Like if you want it bad enough, you're going to have it. But there's a new way of being able to do it, right? Like another thing that I'm super passionate about, especially with business owners and people in leadership, is our mental well-being. Our mental well-being is it's on the chopping board right now because we think we need to go 80 hours. We got to be doing all the things, right? We were not created to do all the things. We were absolutely not created to be doing all the things. Even as mothers, like I'm outnumbered. I am outnumbered at home. Even with one kid, I'm outnumbered, right? But with 5, I'm outnumbered. And I've spent so much time, wasting so much time feeling bad that I couldn't do everything. I couldn't do everything that I saw on Instagram and Pinterest, that I couldn't have the aesthetic and man, I am knee deep up here in adult poo from my 2 autistic kids who are still in nappies and still nonverbal. That could be soul crushing some days. It is soul crushing some days, right? To change 8 nappies. I'm not even going to say what it looks like, but do you know what I mean? That can be soul crushing. And I've had to really work on my mindset to choose not to let that kill my dreams.
Jeez.
Or my mental well-being, right? So we don't have to do all the things. If you're a small business owner or a parent or whatever it is, you've got to choose to prioritize and then trust that if you're working and your intentions and your actions that you're naturally and organically taking, everything's going to work out for you. That is a belief that I live by. Everything on paper could be looking like it's not working out for me, and I feel like everything is working out for me because I choose to see it that way. And because I choose to see it that way, there's magic that comes into my life, and I get connected with people, places, things, resources, services that just take care of everything. And I haven't had to stress about it. So like stress and fear and anxiety have become so common, it's normalized. Yes, our bodies are supposed to go through all of, stress, but it doesn't have to take over our life. And we don't have to do how it's always been done. So one of my mentors is a guy called Richie Norton. His 2 books that are bestsellers, The first book is called The Power of Starting Something Stupid. How many times have you been with your friends or your family and you've said something like that you thought was really cool? And then, oh, you're stupid. He's flipped the script and made something stupid, powerful, cool. The ability to monetize your stupid idea. And the next book he wrote was called Anti-Time Management. Oh, when you're writing a CV, time management is a big deal, right? When you're in your interview, you're like, oh, I'm amazing with time management. He's all about anti-time management. And it's powerful. And the first thing he taught me in our first session was EDO. And you look at your life, you do a little bit of a evaluation and an assessment of your life right now and write down all the things that you do. And he said you go through and you EDO it. You eliminate, you delegate, or you outsource. If you have the ability to pay someone to clean your house and that freed up your time, pay someone to clean your house. Right? If you've got the ability to pay someone to do your admin or whatever it is, that's going to give you another 4 hours a week as a family man, as a business person, whatever, pay someone to do it. We do too much, or we're trying to do it all, and we don't have to. But if you want that, that's all good. If you truly want that, that's all good. Sorry, that was like another
so cool.
long-winded
No, that's
answer.
awesome. EDO.
EDO.
Yeah.
That was Richie Norton. Look him up.
Richie Norton, is he? Not a Kiwi guy, is he?
No, he's American.
American, oh. Norton, wow.
Yeah.
But like you just mentioned it just sounds like when the law, going back to the law of attraction, like you were saying, if everything is kind of not working for me and you're kind of down in the dumps, but even though your reality seems that this is what's happening, but your mindset's no, this is not true for me. And then things, like you said, things happen. Poof, man, they start to unravel. People come, support comes, help comes, whatever it is. And it feels like it's that law of attraction, because you're just attracting the right people at the right time, because your mindset is your frame of mind is in a good state.
Yeah, and this is what I mean too about fake it till you make it. Like Conor McGregor, what's his story? He was like in the ghetto, on the dole, had nothing, and he visualized the life he wanted and imagined himself being in there before he was actually there. So people were like, oh no, when I can see that things are happening for me, that's when I'll choose to believe. No, you got to believe now. When you do an audit, or if an ordinary person was to look at your life and it looks like you got nothing, you have to feel like you have everything when you have nothing. And even then you don't have nothing, because you've still got breath in your lungs. And so then you're grateful for the breath that you have in your lungs. So then your vibration is being raised because you're in gratitude, right? And then you're able to get back into momentum. So the three values are desire, awareness, and identity, right? That's what I work from and I teach from, and I encourage them to encourage people to really delve into. But the principles that accompany those values are mindset, meditation, and movement. So mindset, like we've been discussing that this whole time. Meditation, I just put meditation because MMM, it's like, the letters are all the same, but how I see meditation is this: it's connection, it's peace, it's stillness, it's the ability to really connect with yourself or whatever divine being you believe in. But you are the divine being as well, right? So it's that ability to sit and connect with yourself. Mm-hmm. And to feel the air, your breath, right? So even let's take a moment right now, like consider everything going on in your life right now, and let's just be still, like breathe in through your nose 4 times. Four breath, 4 to the number 4. Hold it for 2. And breathe out and count to 4. And let's do that again. Breathe in, hold it, breathe out. Nothing in your outside world has changed, but there's a little bit more peace within you, or a slight shift right within you right now. I could feel the energy shift a little bit as you were doing that. That is the power of your breath. So when I say be grateful for your breath, it's not just being, I'm so grateful that I'm still breathing. It's no, be grateful for your breath. That is an immediate de-stressor. Ask my sister, before I came in here, I was breathing in the car. You know, I had to regulate myself because I was nervous. You know, I'm like, I still care if people like me, don't like me. I know that what I have to share is important and special, but I'm still human. We're still susceptible to all of those things. So I do this every day. I teach my children to do this every day. You know, if there's one thing, if you're feeling overwhelmed, the first thing I can tell you to do that would be so helpful is to just stop and breathe. And then you can Google, you can YouTube breathing. There's Wim Hof, there's everything, right? Everything is at your fingertips. If you've paid your internet bill or if you've got data, right? If you've paid that spot, right? or if you've got someone's hotspot, everything is at your fingertips. You can learn everything from YouTube, blogs, everything, listening to people, right? But if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, if you're listening and your life feels like it's in absolute shambles right now, just take a moment and breathe. Because we're operating too much from the craziness inside. And when we can still the inside, even though the craziness is still outside, you're powerful. You are so powerful. So we've discussed mindset, meditation is breathing, is connection, movement. Movement is also is physical movement, right? It is being physical. It's choosing something that you enjoy, because physically, movement changes the energy within your body. I know when I'm feeling like, I'm about to be a very major biatch right now. It's because I haven't done something that's moved the energy around inside of me. I have become aware of that behavior within myself now. Right? And so I know, it's about to, I need to breathe and I need to go do a workout, or I need to move somehow to get this energy outside. That's why kids have so much energy. We need them. They need to be out and about playing. They need to be moving because there's so much energy inside of them. And I've learned that being a boy mum too. Like, my boys need to be moving, but we live in such a sedentary lifestyle now. So that awareness alone can help us to be like, okay, let me do what I know, but I'm not doing. Let me get up and take a walk, or let me get up and put a workout on YouTube, or whatever. I can't tell you what that is for you, but if you have awareness and you're connected to yourself and you desire something, you'll figure it out. And that's because that's on you. That's your accountability. Hey, it's on you.
It's good. Obviously, we've talked about several things, Audrey, but it'd be nice to talk about your 5 boys. You're the mother of 5 boys, and you have 2 boys who are autistic. And so how does that play in terms of the mindset, your mindset? Obviously, you touched a little bit about it in terms of the mindset, but how challenging has it been for you, and more so, how has the tools that you have now in terms of the mind, mentoring and so forth, that has kept you, sustained you during those times?
Yeah. It's all wrapped up in this journey, eh? Like, it's all connected for me. I just want to, before I start talking about my sons with autism, I just want to actually acknowledge my sons that don't have autism. I've had to pull myself up on this because we live in a time now where autism is actually very prevalent. Lots of people are talking about it. With lots of people, families have children or people with autism, and it was the first kind of thing that I would always go to. Oh yeah, I'm a mum of 5 boys and I've got 2 autistic boys, and I would just talk about that. But I also got other sons, and I realised one time my son said, I wish I was special, Mum. I was like, oh, you are special. He's like, I'm not special. You're always talking about autism and how it's special. And so I realised that I was always talking about that, and he didn't feel special. I just want to publicly acknowledge my sons, because they're the ones that are day in and day out on this grind with us. That like one son has to get the nappies and the Glad wrap and the wipes and do that, and he has to pick up their poo if they poo outside. Like, sorry, that's the real, but like they are right here with us. So I just want to acknowledge my 2 boys, Vandross and Rocky, for all that they do for their brothers. Because you know what? If something happened to me or my husband, they know exactly what to do to look after their brothers. And they are only 11 and 9. And they know everything about their brothers. So I just want to acknowledge them, and then also out there, all of the people that are taking care of the people with autism in their lives. You are special, you are important, and anything you want in life, you can also have too, right? You're not just the caregiver or the person that's looking after them. Your dreams can be a reality as well. But autism, whew, it is a beautiful, crazy, obnoxious, smelly, annoying, all of those things is wrapped up into my 2 beautiful boys. And I cannot imagine my life without it. I cannot imagine my life without these 2 boys in our life. And me and my husband are better human beings because of them. And it is, again, a conundrum, because it is beautiful, but it is so hard all at the same time. But because we love our life, the beautiful outweighs the hard. It doesn't mean that it's still not hard though, but we choose to continually, we have to choose to see it as beautiful and to focus on the great and the amazing, as opposed to the really hard. You know, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. It is different for every single family and every single person. But absolutely everything that I'm doing with mindset and personal power impacts what we deal with autism, because it can be, and this can be related to anything hard that you're going through, right? Not just autism, but it can be very lonely. It can be depressing. It can be, you can feel hopeless. You can feel helpless. You can feel isolated. You can feel like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get through today? How am I going to get through this next hour? When my husband used to go to work, I used to just try and get through to 10 o'clock when I could call him on the phone on his break and talk to him. Because those 3 hours before, I was just like crying, right? Crying, and more crying, and trying to like, as mentally within my mind, just trying to get through moment by moment. And where I am right now, I'm in a place where I know the power of the mind. And so I know that when I'm struggling or finding it hard, I'd have the tools to be able to bring myself back up. Doesn't take away the hard. Like just today, I was at the laundromat, and my husband and I had to split up, so he had to go do the shopping, and I was at the laundromat, and I had to have our 2 boys with autism and our baby, and I couldn't get our washing from the dryer because my son kept attacking his it's rough out there. I want to acknowledge that it's rough. But if you truly do desire peace and happiness, working on your mindset will help you. And everyone is different. All right, the blanket statement for me is you can find and create peace and joy and happiness within yourself and within your home. But I also want to acknowledge that all of our lives look different. But you absolutely can. You must, right? Otherwise, living a long life in unhappiness and in really hard, like you just look at, I'm a big social media scroller, so I see lots of cool stuff, right? But, you know, there's fathers that have had children in wheelchairs and they've done Ironman, trailing them behind, holding them, pushing them. The human spirit, mind, body, and soul is so powerful. So your thoughts become things. If you can hold it, Uncle Bob said this, if you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hands. So I just truly believe you don't have to be stuck in something that you don't want to be stuck in.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. If you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hands. I think more and more people who may be listening, and I doubt, and they I think a lot of people who may be kind of like are doubtful in terms of some of the situations there in terms of their own lives, listening to this, and even myself, I'm like, man, this is very powerful. This is very powerful, and like you said, I think one of the biggest things that you said is the three things: the awareness, identity, and also desire. And I love it that you kind of mentioned, how bad do we want it? How bad do we want this in our lives? And I think a lot of people, you said, there are definitely a lot of people out there who have all these aspirations and dreams, haven't started, but because of other things in their lives and things and barriers and so forth, they're missing out. They're missing out, and the opportunities are there, but they haven't started because of all the stuff that is happening in them mentally. It is sad. It is really sad, Audrey. And the hope is that when they're listening in or viewing this, that sparks something. They can ignite something. It's the frequency. It's like, oh, I catch, and they catch wind. I get what Audrey's saying. Oh, I need to start working on myself mentally now.
Yeah.
So this hope, and I love it. And the sound bites I'm getting tonight is awareness, identity, and desire. How bad do you want it?
Yeah. And not only that, if you're listening, I want you to know you deserve it. Like you absolutely, without a doubt, you deserve to be happy and you deserve to have all of your dreams fulfilled. Like we deserve it. We're not here in this life to just oh man, like what are you excited about? That feeling, you can create that feeling within yourself every single day. You can.
It's cool. Jay, did you have a question?
Excuse me. Just thinking about parenthood, and I feel like you may have answered parts of this already, but just thinking about how do you and your husband recharge, and is that something, for us, and I guess for a lot of parents, it's like distance from the kids, so it's just you and your partner, so that you can recharge and still have time for you two. But and I imagine maybe this is part of the mindset, but are there ways to be able to recharge as a parent while you're parenting?
Absolutely.
Just because.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm enthusiastic about that because yes, there is. Like, there doesn't have to be so much disconnect, right? A date night doesn't mean I need to find a babysitter and we need to be able to go out and spend money, right? Probably the most significant and meaningful dates that you can engage in as a couple is time. Is let's work together and put the kids to bed together, and let's get them down and relaxed, and then let's go in the lounge.
Just vibe,
and do whatever you want to do, whatever that is for you. But like, let's a big thing that something that is really important is getting back to maybe when you first met, talking about if it was good, if it's a good story, but like those feelings that you have for, like, you can recreate those feelings, because everything is a feeling, right? But you got to get a bit creative around it. So it's like, for me and my husband, it's like, okay, let's get the kids to sleep, or let's get them entertained, and let's have some time, or let's watch a show. We love watching TikToks together. We love watching our particular shows. Not to expose ourselves, but we've been like teen mom followers for a long time. I don't know if anyone else out there does that, but like real crazy, real, I don't know. We've just been watching it for a long time. So like, we used to watch a lot of series together. Now we love to watch podcasts together. So like, we watch this podcast together. We watch Social Proof podcast. We've got a little list of what we enjoy, and so we get excited about those things. We get excited about, like, let's get our little snackies from the shop and hide them from the kids, and then get them out when they wake, but when they're asleep, like it really, like the saying, where there's a will, there's a way, and if you want it, you'll do it. If you value your relationship, you'll do it. Like, both myself and my husband have both had to do things that we don't normally do for each other, because the other person values it. Like, whether that's food, sharing food, whether that's the shows that we like, or the music that we like, or the things that we like going to do. My husband's learnt that there's things I like that make me, that I feel like his interest in those things, he doesn't have to like it, but just the effort of maybe organising it for me or coming to it with me, that shows a lot, and I think for a lot of our men and women, we do operate out of our ego a lot. And it's a beautiful time to learn about the things within yourself that you can do and be better about for the fulfillment of your life, your relationship within your life. Be thoughtful. Learn what each other likes. Allow a man to be a man. Allow your man to be the man. Allow your woman to be the woman, right? Allow each other to be in these different roles, whatever that is, right? Because it can look very different in this day and age. It doesn't have to look like how it's always looked. Allow each other to remember who you were before you had kids and before you were with each other, right? Sometimes that's hard to remember, and we just identify as being dad or mum or husband or wife. But like, my husband and I, we encourage and champion each other doing something that you like all by yourself, right? Whether that, I don't know what that is for anybody, but trusting and loving each other enough to allow each other to be Audrey. Like, before I was mum, before I was Kelly's wife, I was Audrey. I had hopes and I had dreams. I had things that I was into, right? Identity is coming back to that. It's taking those things from when you're a little girl, taking those things from now when you got married, and now taking those things that now you're a mum, and then who am I now? I'm a mixture of all of those things, and there's some things that were left unfulfilled and I want to do them. And what does that look like now? Who am I now? Who do I want to be now? Like, identity, right? What, desire, awareness. Why am I unhappy? Why am I unhappy with myself? Why am I unhappy in this relationship? Why am I unhappy as a mother? It's because I'm not doing things that I want to do. And it could be as simple as maybe having time to go for a walk. It could be as simple as maybe just being able to eat my dinner without everybody eating it as well. Or having, it could be as simple as just needing extra support. these are scenarios that maybe our whānau out there are going through. And it's like, this is where the awareness comes in. It's like, oh, maybe I need to like, how can I do something for myself? Maybe I got to get up before my kids and take some time for myself. Or maybe I'll put them to bed a bit earlier so I can have some time for myself out there after everyone's asleep, you know. You can get creative with it, but it comes down to what you want, who you want to be, and knowing why you're doing what you're doing right now.
I like how you said, let a man be a man. You know, just let your man be a man. I like when you say that. How does that look for Audrey? What does that look like when you're saying that statement? Just let your man be a man. What does that look like for you?
Oh. It means encouraging him. Because, you know, we talk a lot about women. We talk a lot about women and children. I don't think we talk enough about our men and about the silent struggles that they have every single day. And to be honest, I didn't think of that. I've had to come to learn because, you know, our men are taught to provide and protect, and that's what you do. But we're not really talking about, well, what's going on inside, because the stress of not knowing where, how, what, right? The stress of making sure your wife has everything she needs, your kids have everything they need, future, right now. It looks like encouraging your man and uplifting him. And even if he's got some things he needs to work on, if your relationship is right, you'll feel it, right? But encourage your man. Speak life into him. Pour into him. I saw this really cool thing again on Facebook about a woman and a wife who would always serve her man his food. There's lots of ways we think it should be, right? And everybody's home culture is different. In my home, I make my man his dinner plate and I give it to him wherever he's sitting. Me, it's an expression of love. It's not this is how it's done. It's, for me, it's an expression of love, and it's a gesture of showing my husband that I care about him and I value him. And I saw this story on Facebook that this wife was questioned, why do you get your man his food? He can get his own food. And it happened to be a Black American woman, and she said, because when my man goes out into that world, everything is against him and everyone is against him. And when he comes in here, I want him to know that he's valued and that he's taken care of and that he's loved and that he's appreciated. And so that's not for everybody. I just want to put it out there because everybody is different. But for me, it's an expression of love. And it's how I, so encourage our men.
That's cool.
Because I'm a boy mum too. I have to encourage my sons all the time. Speak life into them. Pour into them. At the same time, making sure you're pouring into yourself as well to be able to do that sustainably.
I was going to ask about that too, because I imagine, speaking life into your husband and the challenges that he faces versus you're almost kind of anticipating, because the world is always changing, and then for growing, for raising sons and anticipating some of the challenges that they might face. I suppose speaking love into them and raising them with values, I guess that kind of helps them be prepared for whatever the world is. And it's less about anticipating what the world will throw at them and more about building their foundations.
Yeah, it's more about helping them to connect to their personal power within to be able to navigate whatever happens and comes, right? And I've heard it spoken on this podcast before, but emotional intelligence. We weren't taught emotional intelligence. I think, in the society and the cultures that we are from, it's not something that we were naturally taught, because different generational value systems. We come from a time where it's like children are meant to be seen and not heard, and that's okay. That's how it was. But now we live in a time where emotional intelligence is valued, and we see how important it is. And so I see myself not just as raising sons, I'm raising future partners, future husbands. And their relationship with me is their first experience in a relationship with someone of the opposite sex. So how am I preparing them to be able to navigate their emotional intelligence? How am I preparing them to be able to communicate how they feel, or the stresses that they're experiencing, or the anxiety or the fears that they are feeling? You know, because a lot of our brothers, we're not taught how to do that. And we're also taught, shut up and don't talk about it. So that's a lot of peeling back the layers that come with feeling safe enough to say, hey, look, I'm feeling a bit stressed right now. Hey, look, oh man, got a bit of anxiety. I feel a bit. And comes the encouragement from your partner. And comes the reassuring, you got this. I don't know how we're going to do this, but we're going to do this. We don't have to know the how. We get too hung up on the how. We don't need to know the how. The how is actually not even our business. That's the part of manifesting that I love, is your job is not to know or work out or try and figure out the how. Your job is to be beautifully connected to yourself and what you want and who you want to be. Moving, right? It's not just about, let me manifest while I lie back here on this couch. Although I do advocate for rest. Rest is important. We absolutely should be taking time to rest. But when you're operating from the true energy of manifesting, you are moving, you're taking time for rest, right? It's this beautiful management of all of those things.
Lord lover. Audrey, you've just touched on some lot of nuggets in terms of obviously the mind and awareness, but going back to awareness, identity, all those things, and also in terms of family, your whānau and your boys, and props to your husband, props to Kelly. Is it Kelly?
Yeah. It's Kelly.
Yeah, props to
Kelly. And he said I wasn't allowed to talk about him on the
show. Sorry, but props to Kelly. But yeah, props to your husband and your kids. And I love it that you acknowledge the sons who don't have autism, and your boys who have autism. It's beautiful, and I love it that even in all the pressure points, the hardships, that you stay grounded, stay connected, like you said. But also adding value to wherever you are, and manifesting all these things that are happening, business, whatever it is that you do. And for us, or for me personally, thank you so much for adding value to us. There's been a lot of things you've talked about. Man, I get that. I like that. That connects with me. And a lot of things that I've kind of garnered. I'm going to take this. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this and see. And I really believe that it does work. If I fully 100% believe in it, then sure enough, it should unravel and should unfold and come to pass. And so, sis, Whaftai lover, it's been an absolute pleasure. All the best with your endeavors in 2024. And like you said, you manifested. You said, hey, I'm going to come on this podcast, which is living proof that what you're doing, it works. And it's true to who you are as an individual and as a strong wahine toa. And so, yeah, props to you and your whānau and all the best. And let us know, because it'd be nice to have that check for $5 million and just bring it in and just...
Everybody needs to go write their check out right now.
That's cool. I like that story of Jim Carrey. But yeah, Whaftai lover, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been so insightful. Yeah, just talking about some of this stuff, especially around mindset, because it's kind of amazing how like just a switch can be flipped and then all of a sudden it's like a whole new world, but a world that you knew was there. Like there were signs all the time that something, that there's your truth is out there, and that connection to personal power I really love that you were able to define and share some really awesome examples. I only had a couple more questions. One of them is actually inspired by something that I had read about you, and I was like, when I read it, I was like, it's such a simple question, but it's so loaded because it'll be different for everyone. And so I'm asking you partly because I'm curious about how you would answer it and what level of how specific do you have to get when you're answering this question, which is, what do you really want? And the follow-up question to that is, what does it look like to be content?
I want to be happy. Like, I want to be happy, and I'm happy. So I get what I want because I want to be happy, and I want to help other people feel happy. And that's why in everything that I've done in life, like I chose social work because I'm a social person and I get to help people. At that, I didn't understand that I wanted to help people be happy. I just knew that I wanted to help people. But coming from then to now, I want to help people be happy. And I've been able to do a lot of different things to help that. And I'm going to continue to do different things to keep helping that, right? And I want to be healthy in mind, body, and spirit, because I know that your health is your wealth. Your health is your wealth. And I want to be wealthy. But I am wealthy. Does that make sense? So like, I want it, but I already am. I already am. You might look at my bank account and be like, oh, gee, are you? I am. Right? I am. And I'm in that vibe and in that frequency. And it might be the lotto, it might be whatever, but I'm abundant. Like, I live in abundance every day. And what does it look like to be content? That is a good question. I don't have nothing comes to me straight away for that. But when I think about what content looks like, with all humility, it looks like me. I am so content with everything that I am blessed with in my life right now. The highs, the lows, the yucky, the yummy, the nice, the not so nice. I am operating out of peace right now in this moment.
I love that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
No pina coladas in the tropical island.
Oh, yeah. I'm doing a vow renewal in Rarotonga next year.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mocktails, though.
Ooh, yeah. But hey, awesome. No, thank you so much, Audrey. Every guest that comes on, we always give them a gift. And so on behalf of the Mandate team, we always do a caricature, a cartoon of our guests and how we envision them to be. So this is for you, sis. Obviously a box of chocolates. Hopefully you love chocolates.
Oh, my kids do, so thank you.
And this is for you. But going back to thank you. Appreciate your time. But just going back to the question before we started, is there anyone that you think that could add value to the podcast? And
yeah. So I got a. You want me to name them?
Yes,
beautiful.
Please.
Ezra Hiramani, who was New Zealander of the Year last year. He started a power company because he believes that no one should be experiencing power poverty. And I'm doing some work with him, and it is an amazing kaupapa that is rolled out through New Zealand. But he was New Zealander of the Year last year. Samoan, Māori, family from Tokoroa, amazing family. But he's definitely one to have on here.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. And And we always give the guest the last words. Any last words of encouragement for our guests?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me. It's been a privilege for me to be able to be here and share on your platform things that I'm passionate about and things that I know are helpful because they've helped me. But like I said earlier, I just want you all to know you can absolutely have whatever you want. Whatever you want. If you can hold it in your mind, you can have it in your hands. And as I was thinking about coming here this week, you guys seen the Bob Marley movie?
No, not yet. I've seen,
Were you inspired by it? Like, there's obviously a lot more, but his lyrics have never rung more true to me than now in the season that I'm in life. And, I'm not always good with lyrics, but emancipate yourself from mental slavery. That is mindset. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Only you can do that. So the power is always in you, for you, and with you to have and to do whatever it is that you want to do in life. That I want you to know that. And also I want you to know, and this sounds really cheesy, but I want you to know that I love you. Like, if you're listening, I love you. Everything, all good things, all great things, everything you want comes from love. But we have too many people out there that have never been told, I love you. So, real cheesy, but I love you. You are loved. Your space is meant to be here in this life, and you deserve to do and have great things.
Thank you once again, Audrey Pere. So please don't forget to subscribe. We look forward to your well-thought-out comments. And as usual, Javen,
refine,
unlock,
and take charge.
Mandate.